All right, y'all, what's up? This is DFS Dart Throws and Cash, and yes, I did shave. I was getting tired of the beard. It was just kind of becoming like I don't know something that I was like messing with all the time. So just shave it off. I do the same thing with my hair. If I'm like messing with my hair too much, I'll just cut it off. So anyway, fresh shaven. Ready to review the last week of fantasy. So we did all right. The only problem that I had was like I kind of overloaded this Bills Ravens game, and it did not pan out the exact way I wanted it to. The weather was not as clear as I thought, so it was windy, a little bit rainy, which affected some of the gameplay. The defenses kind of played pretty well, and the offenses just didn't put up as much. Like Stephon Diggs did not return value. Josh Allen did great as always. Um, Devin Singletary, he wasn't a complete miss. Isaiah McKenzie wasn't a complete miss either. McKenzie had an injury towards the end of the game, and that sent him out. So that was pretty unfortunate for fantasy reasons. Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman all had pretty miserable games, except for Devin Duvernay. He returned value. He wasn't really a great option as well. So the entire Raven side of the ball, pretty sad, but it's okay. We had some pretty good picks elsewhere. So Nick Chubb had a great game. I don't have the exact number values. I've been pretty busy this week, so some of them I just kind of missed out on getting the exact value. But I know Nick Chubb did extremely well. Amari Cooper did terribly, which I did not expect whatsoever. Amari Cooper was very high owned, did not perform as well as he should have. Njoku returned value. Marcus Mariota played very poorly. Drake London also not so good. I said Algier if Patterson was out, but Algier was actually a good play. Um, and unfortunately, Patterson's out now for 4 weeks, so that really sucks. I like Patterson a lot. He was on a couple of my best ball leagues, so hopefully he'll come back sooner than later. Well, I guess he's on IR, so it's a minimum 4 weeks. But when he gets back, I hope he's full health. Moving on, this was the best game of the week. The Millie Maker winner had 5 out of these 6. I said play DJ Chark if he was in, but he was not in, so I just crossed his name out. It doesn't really count. I would have. I pivoted off of him and pretty much put Josh Reynolds in all of my lineups. He scored roughly 21 points. I guess I neglected to put that value there. But yeah, he did great. Everybody did amazingly. TJ Hawkinson, my big tight end pick on the week, he performed excellently. I was very high on him. I'm extremely glad I included him in most of my lineups. He was a big playmaker this week. So maybe he'll continue that from here on out. Yeah, definitely a good pick there. Jamal Williams killed it. 26.9 fantasy points. He had a couple big break runs. Yeah, absolutely destroyed. Josh Reynolds, like I said, 20-ish points. Rashad Penny killed it. I mean, he was like probably the best value running back on the week. That was a good pick. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. I wasn't as high on them as I should have been. I mean, I had put them in here obviously because I was like, oh yeah, they're a GPP option, but I didn't really have that much exposure to them just because it's. I mean, the previous 3 games that they had weren't that great. But if you pick that whole stack, like the Goff, Reynolds, Hawkinson stack, along with Rashad Penny, DK Metcalf, and Lockett, I mean, you're pretty much winning the Millie Maker. I don't know what I just did there. Um, Eagles, Jaguars, pretty much. Yeah, it was a pretty crappy game. I said Kirk and Robinson. I mean, I had all these stats for them, but I remember in the last video I was like, nah, I don't really play them though. Um, yeah, and I mean, Darius Slay shut Christian Kirk down. James Robinson did not have that great of a game. So, yeah, I mean, I was pretty accurate with those. Hertz had a decent game again. I mean, he's always going to pretty much like return value. AJ Brown had an okay game. He didn't kill you, but he wasn't like one of the best in the week at all either. Devontae Smith had a relatively bad game. All right, and then honorable mentions. Pretty much all my running back picks killed it this week. Very happy about this. Derrick Henry with a whopping 26 points. Austin Eckler, 34.9. Saquon, I can't remember exactly how many he had, but it was roughly around 30. Khalil Herbert, he was a little underwhelming, which is annoying because I had him in a good bit of my lineups too. Um, and then Javonte Williams tore his ACL, unfortunately, out for the season. That sucks. Yeah, so I mean that was a big no-no if you had him. I only had him in like one or two lineups, so it didn't really kill me that much. But yeah, that's unfortunate. Melvin Gordon gonna be a pretty good pickup for the rest of the year. Reach Hall had 15.8 fantasy points. He's still consistently putting up around 15 every game. Damian Harris had another great game. I think he'll continue to be great. Yeah, and then moving on to wide receivers. Michael Pittman tanked again. I think he only had like 6 points or so. That sucks. I mean, his floor is very low. His ceiling is very high. So I think we're gonna discuss him in a little bit. But I think tonight he's gonna go off. I just have a feeling. With Jonathan Taylor out, I think that Michael Pittman's just gonna kill it. Moving on, Mike Williams had 22 points with Keenan Allen out. I mean, he's still, a good fantasy option with Allen out. When Allen comes back in, he's probably not going to be worth the price tag. CeeDee Lamb destroyed it, 21 points. Cortland Sutton had another 20-ish points. He's going to be in the Thursday night slate game tonight, and I'm going to have him as well. Brandon Cooks, he finally had a decent week. I included him just because Brandon Cooks has the ability to go off. The targets are always there. Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore were both meh. I mean, they didn't absolutely destroy you if you had them, but yeah, I mean, my Zach Wilson, Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore stack did not pan out. Yeah, that offense is just not as good as I thought it would have been with Zach Wilson back. So I don't know. Maybe I'll kind of steer away from them in the future, but it is what it is this past weekend. Joshua Palmer did terribly. He had like 3 fantasy points or something. I'm not sure what happened. Oh, well, I guess I know what happened. Mike Williams got all the targets. So, yeah, moving on. Tight ends, we had some decent tight end picks. First of all, Hawkinson was my number one. Conklin had 8.2. I mean, he's cheap. He got you. It was roughly what he needed. I mean, it was a little under than like his value, but and then Robert Tunyon had 10.2, so he got you what he needed as well. He had a nice touchdown catch. I think he's going to be used a little bit more here in the future. Dart throws were not as good this week. The only one that really did that well was Romeo Dobbs. And he had a pretty good week, 15.7. And then Hollins, just not as good as he was the week prior. The Giants couldn't get any offense going at all. Yeah, it was a pretty terrible game, other than Saquon. Saquon destroyed. Okay, so got through all that in 8 minutes. That's like a record for me, so I'm proud of that. Let's move on to DraftKings. Tonight it's the Colts versus the Denver Broncos. So this is my lineup for cash. I feel like this is pretty kind of meh, like to do, but I really I don't think that there's gonna be that much of offense on the Colts side of the ball. So what I'm doing is kind of like risky, but I think it's gonna pan out. I've got Cortland Sutton as my captain. I think he's going to get the most amount of receptions. I mean, he's got if I recall correctly, 33% target share throughout the season. So, I mean, he's had like, 7, 11, 10, 7. He hasn't been, like, his floor is pretty low. So, I think he's going to continue to be that number one target. I think it's pretty important to put him at captain. You could either consider him, probably Melvin Gordon, or honestly, like in GPP, it would be Melvin Gordon, Pittman, or Sutton, or Jerry Jeudy. I think those are really the only guys that are going to have like big breakout games tonight. And I mean the narrative's like the Denver Broncos are winning by 3, and the over under is 42. So it's a projected, game total of, what is that? That's 38. So it's 14. No, I'm bad at math right now. It's like 24. Why can't I do this right now? Yeah, it's like 23 to 20 or something like that. Around there. It's not. Those are like rough numbers. That's essentially where it's going to end up at, though. So yeah, I mean, it's not going to be very high scoring. I honestly don't think the Colts are going to get much going. I obviously Jonathan Taylor's out, and then you've got his backup, Heinz. He's from NC State. I like him a lot, but I the only thing he's going to be good for is receptions out of the backfield, and he hasn't performed at all so far this year. So I'm steering clear. Yeah, he's not that big volume back, the workhorse back that he needs to be. I mean, he's not Jonathan Taylor, and Jonathan Taylor has been very underwhelming himself. I mean, I think it's really all down to that offensive line. And I mean, Jonathan Taylor had one big game, and it was against the worst team in the league. And now they're going up against a Broncos D that's extremely good. Now, I'm kind of fading all the players. I mean, Matt Ryan, he will get you 15 points or so, hopefully. And so I've got him in my lineup. But I'm not. I'm kind of fading all the Colts other than Matt Ryan, just because I know for a fact Matt Ryan will get me something, and that's what I'm looking for in these cash games. I'm just trying to get maybe 10, 15 fantasy points out of him, and then yeah, I've got Jerry Jeudy. Just in case Cortland Sutton doesn't go off, and it's Jerry Jeudy, I've got him in my lineup as well. So, and then I've got Russell Wilson because he's obviously going to be passing both of them the ball. I think that all the receptions will add up. I think any of the touchdowns that Russell Wilson throws will add up. Having all these players stacked is going to be advantageous to me. And then I've got the Broncos D. I think the Colts are miserable, like a miserable offense. I think the Broncos defense is pretty freaking good. I mean, that's the only reason why they've even won any games. They can't really get much offense going. Russell Wilson finally looked decent this past weekend. I think he had a rushing touchdown, and he threw for a decent amount of yards. Let's see. Let's take a look real quick. He had 237 for 2, and then he had 4 rushes for 1 touchdown and 29 yards. So yeah, he's finally coming in and performing like he was the previous season before he injured his hand. So yeah, I think he's a good pick. I think all these guys are good picks. All low floors. That's what we were looking for in these cash games. So yeah, and then we got Chase Mclaughlin, the Colts kicker. So I mean, I think it's kind of smart to do the defense and a kicker, because if the defense is working, they're gonna hold them to just kick. So hopefully Mclaughlin kicks in at least 3 field goals, maybe 4, and that would be great. I mean, that would get us where we need to be in that top 40% or whatever it is. So yeah, that's my cash lineup real quick, and yeah, I'm just gonna submit that again, and I'll go over one of my Millie Maker lineups real quick. I threw in 3 kind of random ones. I'm just trying to get different. So yeah, I've got Melvin Gordon as the number 1. I mean, with Javonte Williams out, I think Melvin Gordon will get the goal line carries. It's either going to be hit or miss for him. I mean, he fumbles. He's been fumbling a lot. He got stopped on the goal line several times so far this season. Yeah, it's just going to be dependent on how well he can actually play against this Colts D. So I think he could have potential. I mean, honestly, I could see them running a lot this game. So yeah, I think that's a decent pick. And then we got Pittman. So Pittman's always got the targets. He's got a really low floor, so that's why he's in my tournament entry. But yeah, I think with Jonathan Taylor out, they're going to have to focus on their superstars, and there's really only one, and that's Pittman. So yeah, I've got him in my lineup. I couldn't really afford him in my cash lineup, or else I would have put him in there. I mean, you can probably sub out either Russell Wilson or Matt Ryan and try to make Michael Pittman fit in your cash lineup if you want, but I'd rather go with 2 quarterbacks and a kicker. I think that's just I don't know, kind of standard for me. Yeah, and then we got Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. I think these guys could have a lot of yards between the 2 of them. I think they're the 2 playmakers of the Broncos. Moali Cox, I mean, this is just like kind of a dart throw. He had a great game last week. I'm sure everybody who watches football and like has a fantasy football team is aware of that. He had 6 receptions for 2 TDs and 85 yards. Insane. Um, so yeah, I think he could be a good play here if he does anything close to what he did before. And then yeah, Broncos D. I think the Broncos D is just gonna get sacks and I don't know, interceptions, fumbles, obviously all the stuff that scores. I don't know why I lost my train of thought, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, let me talk about a couple other guys. Yeah, you could go Heinz if you really wanted to, but like I said, he's like a smaller running back. He catches a lot of passes out of the backfield, but he's not really like, I don't know, a guy who's gonna plow you over and get in the end zone. Mike Boone could be a sneaky play. I mean, he's obviously behind Melvin Gordon. I think he was actually on the Panthers for a little bit last year, mostly on like the practice squad. Never really got any playing time. I think he probably took like I don't know, just a few snaps. Yeah, he took. It looks like he got 3 rushing attempts last game, and then yeah, I mean I would probably fade him, but if you're looking at like a tournament entry and you want to be different, you could go with him. One other strategy that I mean I could show you to get different. Let's see. So this is like the captain. So this guy's going to be 400, but I think Philip Lindsay could be a sneaky play. He's just got elevated from the practice squad ahead of Thursday night's game. So I think that he's much more of a workhorse back. We've seen a lot of success with him when he was on the Texans, and I think he was even on the Broncos, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see real quick. Yeah, sorry, this is like so. Yeah, so he was born in Denver. That's interesting. Yep, he was on the Broncos. He was on a lot of teams, I guess. Yeah, Dolphins. So yeah, I think he was on the Texans too, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, he was on the Broncos. So revenge game. That's actually kind of funny. If I like, I put him in like one of my tournament entries. So yeah, that's one guy to keep an eye on. I think that's pretty much all I've got. This game's be kind of defensive. So if you want to stack a couple defenses, then you can do that. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. I will have another video out tomorrow or Saturday going over the slate, the main slate this weekend. It'll be pretty interesting given all the injuries and all that stuff. So I'll keep you guys updated, keep you guys in the loop. Yeah, tune back in with me tomorrow or the next day. Have a good one. Bye.